I'm Matt Bishar with Nareit here in Hollywood, Florida for Nareit's REITwise, the 2018 Law, Accounting, and Finance Conference. Joining me today is Merrie Frankel, President of Minerva Realty Consultants. Merrie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
Now, I'd like to start by talking about the IPO market. What advice would you give to small to mid-sized private or non-listed real estate companies that are thinking about trying to come public in today's market?
Good question. I make three major points on that. Number one, the IPO market can be a great resource for a company that's looking for permanent capital to fuel their growth. Number two, I say you have to look at their peer group. How the peer group is trading, their pricing, and what the valuations look like. And number three, IPOs can be a great resource with the additional liquidity to fuel the acquisitions and any other type of growth. You can access the equity market. You can access the public debt market. However, it does come with some added costs, may it be with some additional accounting costs or corporate governance.
Now, how have you seen the ratings process change for REITs over the years?
Interestingly enough, it hasn't changed all that much. And you know I was a ratings analyst for a long time. Basically, Moody's recently updated about a month ago, their REIT ratings methodology, and S&P and Fitch have also fine-tuned theirs. But these are not drastic changes. It's more tweaks and fine-tuning. The process still is basically the REIT analysts at the agencies meeting with the company management, talking about their goals, doing some site inspections, looking at all the metrics, calculating the numbers, going to rating committee, getting back to management with what the result is. At which point management decides when they are going to be issuing debt or what they need the rating for and what timing makes sense for them.
And lastly, you've played an active role in advocating for the advancement of women in leadership roles in the real estate industry. And you're currently a board member for a REIT. How much progress has the industry made in this regard, and what positive results have you seen at the companies that do have greater leadership diversity?
Being on the board of Agree Realty Corp has been a great experience because I've seen companies in my career from so many different vantage points. So it's so much fun being inside and seeing it from a board point of view. And what I have found is I've seen every month greater press releases with more women being promoted to positions in REITs and more women joining various REITs. However, the statistics that I'm seeing aren't necessarily showing what I seem to see in the press releases, probably because the statistics are backwards looking. And actually the last statistics that I've seen are really from about 2016. I guess everybody's still calculating the 2017 metrics. And most of the statistics tend to cover Fortune 500 companies, and only one or two reports have covered REITs specifically. But just to start out, only 17% of Fortune 500 companies consist of women on the boards, and that statistic has been pretty static for a number of years. It goes up a point, down a point over the years, but it's been pretty static. Number two, what's interesting is, I just read this recently, that in the Fortune 500, only about 250 to 400 board seats turn over every year. And that's not a lot of seats to fill. So that explains a lot of why, it takes a while to get diversity going on the boards. And actually, Wells Fargo did a study about a year and a half, 2 years ago, covering about 120 REITs. And what I found really interesting was that they found that of the REITs they looked at, bottom line, REITs that had 25% or more women on their boards performed better than ones with less than 25%, to the tune of better price, and better total return. So that shows it really can hit the bottom line. Just like everybody says, the greater diversity is better for a company's proceeds and better for governance and everything else. So I found that interesting. I'll give you just one other statistic that I saw. Ferguson did a study with only about 40 or 50 U.S. REITs, I believe, and it showed that about 80% of the REITs did have at least one woman on the board, and the comparable statistics for the Fortune 500 are that 97% of the Fortune 500 companies have at least one woman on their board. So REITs are doing okay, but have a little bit of the way to go.
Merrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
For more from REITwise, be sure to visit Nareit's website, REIT.com.